Recently, MatPat did a video over on the Film Theory channel about the creatures of the descent, known as the crawlers. And whilst I always say I don't like to watch videos of anything I'm going to cover, I never intended on covering the descent. I'd never seen it in its entirety. Watching MatPat's video, or preparing to watch it, is what made me watch the film. I caught snippets on TV, but it never grabbed me. I never felt like I have to watch to the end. But I did it for this, and I'm so glad that I did. So join me as we talk about 2005's The Descent, written and directed by Neil Marshall, starring Shauna MacDonald, Alex Reid, Natalie Mendoza, Saskia Mulder, and Mianna Buring, who you may recognise from The Witcher. So I sat down, and the first, 20-30 minutes, I was like, okay, heartbreak, horrible thing happened to this character, I'm there for it, but give me more, come on, feed me. Engage me in what you're dealing here. And it did take a while for it to really get going. I was like, I'm going to watch it through so that I understand what MatPat's talking about, granted. But it felt like a chore. Sometimes when people have asked me to watch a film, they want me to review, I do see it as a chore because it's not me doing it on my own steam. It's not a passion thing of like, oh, this is great, I want to talk about it, or I've stumbled upon it and I need to tell the world this film exists, or something like that. This was one of those where it's like, okay, I've kind of got to do it because of technically a self-imposed reason in that scenario. But I got through it, and as time went on, the tension rose and rose and rose. This wasn't a modern horror film that gives you a little bit of tension, then boom, jump scare. Little bit of tension, jump scare, or sometimes no tension, just jump scares out of nowhere. It's particularly really modern Blumhouse ones. You were meant to be the chosen one. But either way, this didn't do that. Yes, there were jump scares, but they were earned. And then, like I say, the tension just kept building and going. And it never really occurred to me when I first started watching it, of course, but aside from the intro and the bits in the hospital, there are no male humans in the film. It is a very female-led thing. And this was a conscious effort by Neil Marshall. He decided that after the testosterone-fueled outing of Dog Soldiers, which I may cover in the future if people want, that he needed to flip the script. If he's going to do something like this, if he's going to do a new film, why not have it all female-based? And that was a great decision. This became a story of, dare I say, sisterhood. As awfully trotted out as that is. But this was about a group of women just banding together and proving that they can also overcome great ordeals and odds. They can fight together, but also they can have the same suspicions, they can have the same distrust that a male team could in this scenario. They did nothing that a male group wouldn't have done. And that's brilliant. The fact that, yes, it is all females, to some is like, oh, just doing it for whatever reason. But the fact that it doesn't matter whether they're females or not, I think is what's important here. It's about people, and people come in a multitude of flavours, if you will. And that's what I loved about this. Amy's one of those people who needs to get the human connection in TV and film. Anything she engages with has to have multiple interesting humans, not just one. I don't think that would cut it. And I think this is very much what she's on about. All of these characters are three-dimensional. They're not just a trope, a cookie-cutter, version of something else. They are individuals with their own hopes, fears, dreams. And we see a lot of this. We see what their hopes, dreams, and fears may be. We see the distrust that can come between people who are supposedly super close but haven't seen each other for years, or at least a year. We see the desire to get past horrible ordeals that are in your past. We see these people thrown into a ridiculously outlandish scenario. Although, is it? We keep discovering new places. We think we've discovered the globe, but there are still new pockets of land and new things under the ocean that we're discovering constantly. There are new species of insects in particular, because they're so numerous and so small, that we're discovering constantly. So could there be a cave system where there are people who are a throwback? Very probably. It's a minor chance, granted, but it could happen. But it is still somewhat outlandish to our minds because we don't believe this. I don't think that it would be in the States as the film is set. But this is a fascinating look at humanity, against all odds. And it's a wonderfully set, it's wonderfully crafted. Cinematography is great. Some of this was a bit of a tour de force, because the cave systems were all man-made. They were all on a studio. And sometimes you can tell there are stalactites that wobble. It's got that old Star Trek feel in some scenes, if you're really looking for it. I did notice mostly they use the lights that are in the scene where they can, but if that's not enough, they will artificially light it. And there's a lot with the green glow stick where it wasn't giving enough light, clearly, because the light is coming from somewhere entirely different. They're moving the glow stick around, the lighting isn't changing. Sorry if I've ruined this for anyone by that observation, but it's there. But it still doesn't ruin the material. I can look past it. And I want to finish how the film finishes. There were two endings to this film. One is now considered in the States the unrated cut, but there was a bit of a divide. The original ending, and what is now, as I say, the unrated cut for some, we see Sarah escape, and we see this drive off, everything seems cool, then we get the, oh my word, that's Juno's ghost or whatever. We see that everything seems fine apart from that little sting, but then we realise she's in a cave on her own. She's hallucinating all of this. There's even the thing with the birthday cake, and the light from the candles is the light from a torch in front of her. It's sort of bittersweet, because in her mind she's escaped, and we feel that joy, but we know that it's not real. We know that it's fake. It's just all in her mind. And as it pulls back to reveal this, it's beautiful camera work. Beautiful, framing and everything. But this ending was not liked, apparently, for the American market. It was decided that American audiences would find this too bleak, and we need the classic Hollywood ending or a stinger. So it cuts to the point where Juno's revealed in the seat next to her. That's the ending of the American cut. And it's that ending that gave us The Descent 2. Technically, The Descent 2 takes place in, if you will, that reality. And I'm not going to review The Descent 2 on that basis. Even if people I suppose if people really, really want me to, but I have no desire to watch it or to review it or to analyse it or whatever. To me, it's a what if story. It's a what if it was real. I stand by the director's original vision, which is that Sarah is never going to escape, more than likely. She's just trapped down there for good, and she's probably going to die in this fantasy world that she's building for herself. I don't like that ending, because I think that word just doesn't feel right in this scenario, but like I say, that's the original intent, and I uphold that. I don't have an issue with a bleak ending. I love the ending of The Mist. I'm really glad that I stuck this one out. I sat there and I just got through it and enjoyed it for what it was, because I wouldn't have had that heartbreak at the end. It really did. It really did get me. I really did feel for Sarah and whatever may happen to her down there. So if you've not watched it in a while, or like me, you'd only seen snippets and never really got into it, go for it. And I'm sorry that I've ruined the ending for you, but I always put spoilers ahead at the start of the video for that very reason, so you've no one to blame but yourself. But that's all for now. I'm going to go back to gaming for next time, so I hope you'll join me for that. But until then, as always, thank you for watching and take care.